What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Black Alchemy, where we talk about all things spiritual and all things metaphysical. You're welcome to check out the content on this page. If you see something you like, you know what to do. And also hit the subscribe button. You'll be doing me a really big favor. Today, I want to give you a story time about a profound experience that I had with the NDE, which is a near-death experience. But before I get into that, right, I kind of want to explain the concept of an NDE and a OBE, the difference between the two. And I got some notes I'm gonna look down at. You know, kind of want to give some detail in that before I get into my story for someone who might not be too familiar with the terminologies, right? So, at the base of metaphysical and spiritual philosophy, we learn that consciousness or awareness is the most eternal aspect of who we are and that it never dies, right? The physical body or the avatar will eventually wear out over time, and the soul, the spirit, awareness, consciousness is going to need somewhere to go. It's kind of like it's being evicted. Now, this is the same science like when you sleep at night and when the body is at rest and you think you having these crazy dreams, but what's really going on is that your consciousness is really having experiences in other realms and other dimensions before it return back into the body, into this reality. Now, we also learn that this consciousness or awareness can exist independent of the physical body, outside of the body with its own frequency and its own range, or it can exist by way of the brain. Now, the two examples that I was going to talk about that are on the same spectrum, which is a NDE, which is a near-death experience, and an OBE, which is an out-of-body experience. And the OBE, you hear a lot of times people talk about these experiences when they talk about things like astral projection, where they're floating above their body, or they're seeing other things in other realms, other dimensions, things like that. But an NDE is an experience where the body is nearing transition or nearing death, and the consciousness, spirit, soul, whatever you choose to say, has this very profound experience. Now, a lot of times, this happens when the body is severely damaged or severely injured. Could be from violence, accidents, illness, sickness, whatever. Anything that'll get you up out of here, right? But this profound experience is called an NDE. Now, these experiences have been reported for thousands of years in many different spiritual traditions by different spiritual teachers, sages, and everyday ordinary people of different backgrounds. Now, in the 1970s, matter of fact, the early 1970s, Dr. Raymond Moody put out a book called Life After Death, where he put out a combination or a collage of different experiences that people had shared with him, or different things that he researched about their near-death experiences while being on the operating table before being revived in their bodies, right? Now, like I said, this is something that has been going on for years. This is something that had always been taught. It's nothing new up under the sun. Now, leading into my story time, October 1998, I was due to have a surgery from an injury that I suffered on a job that needed to be taken care of before I transitioned into my next job that was also a physical job, right? Now, this is my first surgery in life, so I'm a little nervous, whatever, the procedure, everything, but it was something that needed to be done because it was becoming a hindrance, right? So, during the surgical procedure, I remember floating outside of my body with this feeling of tranquility, peace, balance. It was a feeling I never felt before. It was a feeling of love, man. I never felt this feeling before. And I remember being surrounded by ancestors that was there to comfort me in that situation. And all I can remember saying to them, like, yo, I know I ain't just make my transition or just die doing this operation. But you know what? I kind of like this feeling. I never felt it before, so I don't think I want to go back. And they were like, nah, B, it ain't your time. You got to go back. So I remember being guided and flown back down into my body that was on the operating table in the middle of the surgery, excuse me. I remember my eyes opening and shocked from that profound experience. I tried to get up off the table. And I remember the nurse putting her hands on me, holding me down. And I remember them doing something to the IV. And next thing you know, I was out again. And I didn't wake up till hours later till after that procedure was taken care of. Now, OBEs, out-of-body experiences. I've been having those since I could remember as a child. But this NDE experience, it was something totally different. It totally changed my outlook on reality. It set me on the path that I'm on. It actually had me tap in more into a spirituality, not from a religious aspect, but from a metaphysical aspect that has led me to gaining my degrees, getting my bachelor's and my master's in the fields of metaphysics and spirituality, right? Totally changed my life, totally changed my view on everything. It doesn't make me special or different from anyone else because many other people have had these experiences. And this is not something that I talk about a lot to a lot of people, but I feel like, yo, let me say something. Let me put my 2 cents in on this and let me put my experience out there, right? So, with this being said, always remember that we are more conscious, we're more spiritual beings than physical beings. We're more mental beings than physical beings. So when the body is at rest and when the body is near death, it needs somewhere to go. It needs something to do. The body is finite, it's temporary. But the spirit, the soul, the awareness, and the consciousness of man is something that is eternal, and it will never fade or it never will cease to exist. 720. Peace.